What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Unknown Destination, the podcast about anything and everything travel. My name is Justin. That is Andrew. Andrew, how are you today?
Fantastic. How are you?
Same here. I'm excited, man. We're our first time ever having a guest today.
Yeah, I'm very excited to learn a lot about the room service world since I don't know hardly anything about that. And I'm just looking at snowing outside. So I'm
Oh,
even more
wow.
excited.
You made me look here, even though I'm 3 states down. It's not snowing here. I'm sad. All right, so let's kind of jump right into it. I think we're just going to kind of do, the little bit of news that we have and then jump right into that interview and announce who that is. So what's the first thing you have this week?
I was reading an article about airlines selling direct, kind of in conjunction with. There was some news here that I've known for a little bit, but I haven't been able to release. But now it is on the public knowledge. So, starting in 2021, the very beginning of the year, there will be airlines that are partnering with American Express's online booking tool with no extra booking fee. So, if you've ever traveled with a company and booked your trip online, normally there's a surcharge of using their online booking tool. Of it could be anywhere from like $10 to $50 per ticket, just depending on what the contract is. So they are previously, it looks like they were charging 21 per ticket if booked through GDS. Um, but they are going to be eliminating that, and by they I mean Lufthansa is kind of the headliner that's doing this, as well as Singapore Air.
Okay.
Singapore Air made a pretty big announcement as well. They normally only charge $12 per booking, um, but they're going to be partnering kind of the same thing through Amadeus. So
Okay.
with the Lufthansa group, that the agreement is including Austrian Air, Lufthansa, Swiss, and Brussels. So for those European carriers, and then the they're seeing, I guess the industry as a whole is seeing this as a good thing as of right now. However, they're worried that it's going to be too much too fast, in ways of every airline is going to want their own special thing from travel agencies. And they're worried that a lot of the smaller travel agencies are not going to survive because they're not going to be able to compete on a technology basis. They're not going to be able to program all of these different parameters that the airlines are wanting in a feasible amount of time with their resources.
Gotcha. Yeah, I gotta say that makes sense. Honestly, it's kind of been going that way anyway. The bigger agencies are kind of where it's at right now, and even the smaller agencies, most of the ones you see are going to be partnered up with those larger agencies and just kind of an extension of that larger agency. So, that's honestly good news for some of those larger travel agencies, though, especially in that case, American Express.
Yeah, it says they're American Express, Global Business Travel, and Reed and McKay are pretty much the only travel agencies that have resources to do these integrations in real time. A lot, because those are the two biggest that are left.
Yeah.
So they're worried about airlines kind of killing out the other travel agencies by doing this. If they only are allowing their own network to be broadcast to these GDSs. So that's kind of a time will tell whether it'll be ultimately good or bad for the industry when it comes to travel agencies.
Right on. So that's definitely big news. I have a couple of little things about airlines. One is just that Southwest is actually adding service to 2 new California airports. It brings their total to 13 different airports within the state of California. Starting the second quarter of 2021, they will add service to Santa Barbara and Fresno Yosemite International. That one obviously being a big deal because, anybody who wants to go visit Yosemite is now going to be able to fly on Southwest, which is a budget carrier. Generally, an airport the larger airlines don't necessarily fly to. So that's going to be great additional service, especially for the national park.
Mm-hmm.
Then the other airline thing I have was about United, and that it's just in the next few weeks during check-in, United Airlines is going to voluntarily ask all passengers to provide information to assist in contact tracing efforts if there's an issue with COVID-19.
So another thing for people to complain about that they have to do to fly. I think it's smart in a way that the tracing back to the source to trying to minimize exposure. How truthful people are going to be, I guess that's going to ultimately prove how effective this is. So I mean, people can lie on a piece of paper. So
yeah, that's definitely true. So we'll have to see what happens there, but that's the information for now.
yeah, I didn't really see too much going on since our last podcast with relating to air travel. Nothing major has changed, so I think we could probably jump right into. I'd like to make sure that we have plenty of time with our guest today.
Okay, so that sounds good. So what we are going to do is we are going to take a short little break, and then we'll be back with our surprise guest for the week.
Woo.
All right, everybody, welcome back to Unknown Destination, the podcast where we talk about anything and everything travel. As you can see, we have a guest on the show for the first time. That is Jess. She has a YouTube channel that just hit 200 subscribers, so congratulations on that. It's called Hot Mess Express with Jess, and she kind of talks about a little bit of anything and everything and some stories about her life. The video that caught our attention is her video about working in a hotel and being in room service and walking in on someone who may or may not have had clothes on. So Jess, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So I guess with everything being kind of focused on travel, obviously, you know, the first thing that we've been discussing on every episode is kind of how COVID-19 has affected everybody in the industry. And I know that definitely hit you as well. How's that been for you?
You know, it's been interesting. I feel like, you know, in the beginning, in March, when they actually were shutting down the hotel temporarily, they said it was for 2 months. Of course, that turned into longer. And then when they did reopen, they went along the lines of saying, you're going to be furloughed, but we're going to try to bring you back when, you know, we get enough clientele in. And then just probably, I think it was a couple of weeks before my birthday, so like a little over a month ago, they called and they're like, yeah, so you've been let go.
Happy birthday. Yeah.
I was like, cool, I love it. But it's just, you know, it's all across the board. So many people in management especially have lost jobs, and so it's just, you know, kind of rolling with the dice kind of thing. I understand.
Yeah, it's something we're all dealing with, and I don't think any of us actually blame our employers for it, but
no,
I know the dragging along thing is kind of the worst situation, because you're like, I wish I would have known a little sooner, but you know.
I can definitely relate to being let go on your birthday. I was actually furloughed as well on my birthday. Yeah, so earlier this year. That was I tried to make light of it, and I think it just made everybody feel bad, because I was like, oh, it's fine, happy birthday to me, I'll see you guys later. And but luckily I'm still furloughed as of now. I'm supposed to be going back in February, but who knows what will happen next year.
I mean, here's hoping.
Yeah.
And for Andrew, it's been a meeting every month that just kind of extends it a month, so it sounds like you were kind of in the same thing, though. They were like, hey, it's gonna be furloughed, and no, that's not it.
Yeah, they were just, and it was bad because we actually got a new GM in the process of like, but right when it reopened, they threw this new guy in basically, and so he was the one that had to call all these people that he's never met and tell them that they're not returning to the hotel. And he's like on the phone with me, he's like, do you have any questions? And I'm like trying not to cry on the phone. I'm like, no, I'm good. I'm like, have a great day.
Oh my gosh, that's terrible. He was literally brought in to be the axe man.
Oh, for sure. I felt so bad for him.
Oh my gosh.
Well, I know based on your video, you were working in room service at the time of that story. Is that pretty much what you've done most of your hotel experience?
Most of it. I've kind of done a little bit of everything, especially food and beverage side, but room service was definitely the kind of thing that I enjoyed the most just because it was the most interesting. So
Yeah, that's actually when I saw your video, I've that's one area of the hotel world that I don't know really anything about. I've ordered room service like out
yeah.
of internationally and that kind of thing, but what is that? What does your job entail?
So basically, so there are two kind of mechanisms to room service. You have the cashier order taker, and then you have the server that actually goes up. And so basically the cashier is the one that, actually, takes down the order, will make sure everything's correct, kind of organize everything for the servers. And so basically as a server, you just kind of get the check, you assemble all the food and everything else they ordered, say they get a soda, whatever, you assemble that, you take it up. It's really easy. I say it's probably, I think when I first started, I was like, I feel like I'm borderline doing something illegal the way that this is set up, because you just go in and you have to be really discreet and everything and kind of fade into the background, because like these people, they're ordering room service to not be social, so you kind of have to go in there.
Or they've had
like,
too many drinks and hope that a really pretty lady is coming up.
oh yeah. Oh yeah.
It's funny that you said that, because my initial reaction to your video was like, it wasn't just the $2 she was trying to tip you. I was getting the vibes that woman might have been trying to tip you in other ways.
100%. That's actually and I had told, so the other server that originally was supposed to take this order, like the one that was throwing a fit or whatever, he would just get so upset if any orders would come in after 11 o'clock, because we closed at midnight. And so of course, we get 2 orders around 11:50 or whatever, and
would have hated me.
I mean, granted, I understand, like I don't think I genuinely hated anybody that would order late unless it was something like a steak, because then I was like, come on now, like that takes a while to cook and you're just being a jerk now. But a lot of people don't realize when room service is closed or whatever. So I kind of, so I would just go along with it. But I mean, also on that point, things get weird late. So
that's also me. I'm apologizing now. That is, I'm also the reason why things get weird late. But it's
my God.
You're like, why is this guy in the junior suite ordering like a scoop of each kind of ice cream flavor and some orange juice?
Oh my God. No, but those were like my favorites though. Those were my favorite orders when I would see people and I would go up, and most of the time, especially when I was still working in St. Louis, a lot of the people that would order stuff like that late, you're like, I know what you've been doing. You just go up and you're just kind of sly with them. You're like, oh, so you had a craving today, like they were the most fun to just kind of like edge. And, you could just see them like starting to sweat, like, oh my God, this girl knows what I've been doing. I'm like, I'm not going to rat you out. I don't care. Like, just don't do it in the room.
Oh gosh.
It's funny that you point out that was something you were catching on in St. Louis when Denver is the other city that you've been working
because these people don't try to hide it. Like, you
That's a valid
smell
point.
it. Oh, 100%. When I first moved here and I was doing room service, oh my God, I would walk down the hall and say like breakfast orders. I mainly worked breakfast. So you're walking down the hall around 6 a.m. and it just smells like weed smoke all throughout the hall. It's just like, oh, okay. So that's how you wake. I go for coffee, you go for that. I guess that's fine.
That's how I picture all of Denver smelling, like how certain cities have a smell. That's what I envision.
You're not wrong.
Yeah.
You're not wrong. And like, that's the irony. I feel like when I moved here, everybody was like, I was living in Arizona at the time, and everybody was like, oh, so why are you going to Denver? And I have family here, and so they're like, sure we know what you got. And like, the ironic thing is I have not partaken like nearly at all since I've been here. It's crazy. Everybody's like, so how much have you been smoking? I'm like, none.
I like that you put those qualifiers on it. You're gonna say never, yeah, but it turned into a almost kind of never.
Yeah. I like how you just like you picked up on that way too much.
It's because he says the same thing.
Yeah, I use the same verbiage. That's it. Anytime I travel internationally, they're probably just like Americans, because I will literally order just the most random things. If I'm in a nicer hotel, I order just things that shouldn't go together just to see the reaction of people that bring it up. And
Dude.
they're like, in Japan was the main one, because they were like, oh, these Americans are crazy. I was traveling around with my coworker, this black woman who they looked at her like she was a unicorn over there. So it was amazing because we both love attention when we're traveling internationally.
Since you said that, hi Loretta. I
Yeah.
know she watches sometimes. So,
I was like, you know what? I'm gonna order something crazy. There's gonna be this little adorable Asian girl that comes in, and she's gonna be like, here you go, sorry. And it wasn't that at all. It was a big burly man that came up, and I was like, you need to get out now because I've been drinking and I'm scared. He left me my ice cream, and that was the
Here
end of
you
that.
go.
Yeah, and then I was scared because I couldn't find the TV remote, because everything over there is really weird. They have it in very specific places. So I'm like, do I just not watch TV? Because I'm scared to call and have somebody come back up. And but I did. And then, no joke, she had to have been at least 6'4".
No.
Lord.
This 6'4" woman who was probably just normal size still, but she was like towering over me. I'm like, this is not what I envisioned Japan. All of the people here are known for being shorter. Like, that is your genetics.
Like dainty.
That's not, like you are not. No one that I've seen here has been dainty, and I am in a very nice suite. Where are the dainty people? Even if it was a very nice looking man, I was like, I want like a K-pop star to deliver me something.
Yeah, like give me something, give me that aesthetic. This is what I came here for.
Right. Yeah. And then I could just hear Loretta had a room next to me, and she's cracking up the whole time. We had just gotten back we did karaoke out in Japan.
Yes.
And we had just gotten back, so we were pretty sloshed. And she could just hear me like talking, apparently it was hilarious because I sounded very scared, which I was.
Oh my god. That's amazing. Just like, please don't step on me. Thank you for my ice cream.
Yeah, and the moral of that story is, don't order those things at night when you've been drinking, because it ended up all in my bed and all over the floor. I don't know. I woke up in it. It was one of those things where I didn't say a single word about it until we were out of the country, because I thought that they were going to like charge our company because I was there on business.
Oh my god.
So yeah, I woke up and I was like, why am I sticky? And what happened? And then I looked over, and my food tray was like on its side in the bed. So apparently I didn't eat any of it. I just fell asleep. And I tried to clean the carpet, because we were like, it was a really nice room. I was trying to clean the carpet, and I was looking around, and I'm like, this is how desperate it got. I went over and got like some toilet paper, and I was like, come on, there's orange juice everywhere. So eventually I just gave up. I'm like, it's time to go.
Those are like the types of rooms that I've walked in on way too many times, and like housekeeping is in there. I'll like walk in to retrieve trays or whatever, and like a housekeeper's in there just looking like they've been beat up, and I'm like, what happened in this room?
Yeah. The good news is that we didn't have names assigned to the room, so they just know it was someone from the company. And there was another woman there who was probably in her 50s or 60s that was like just a mess of a human being. And
Whoa.
It doesn't matter. I don't even remember her name. But she was with our company at the time, Justin.
I do.
No, it was somebody from a different office.
Mess of a human.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
it's not who I was thinking.
So how it worked was they allowed like two people from every office to go. But I remember she got so drunk on the plane ride over. we had a nonstop, because they had just promoted a nonstop flight from Chicago to Narita, and so that was like a 13-hour flight. And
oh my god.
She was like drunk, throwing up by like 7 hours into it. And this is like a woman in her 50s, and I'm like, this is gonna be a good time. She didn't participate in like anything except drinking, and I'm like, perfect. This was her fault. I didn't do this.
Why
gotta
do I
stay
feel like
me.
that's gonna be me at 50? 100%.
The crazy
Well, if you want
part
a
is,
travel buddy, I am all for those type of
Boom.
people.
All right.
I
Fair
thought
enough.
I invited you on just because I figured you were going to have the craziest stories. Little did I know Andrew has all these secrets of how crazy he is when he stays in hotels.
Oh
Yeah,
my God.
I've been
I
saving it.
think,
I assume
he
you
was
tip
just
well
like,
at least.
I'm waiting.
I'm like, oh, she works in room service. This is gonna be good.
And I have that face. I think that people have told me before, they're like, I feel like I just have to tell you stuff that I wouldn't normally tell other people. I'm like, I don't know what it is about me, but it's just
You're like, absolutely. Tell me. Also, go check out my YouTube. But maybe not this week's episode because you might be on it.
you might be on there. I mean, I don't want to like tell you, oh God, no. I feel like if anybody tells me not to share any stories like that, I'm like, fair enough, I won't do it.
Yeah, but
Only
if they
if
don't
somebody
say it,
Well,
oh
and
yeah.
there's enough problematic YouTubers that you can just keep going after them with their
Oh
insanity.
my God. I was like, I think that earlier today I was actually watching a couple videos or whatever, and just, about to have an aneurysm. I was like, I swear, why do I care so much?
I'm the same way, especially
why am I so invested in this?
Yes, why do I care what you do? Like the people partying. Oh my God, I swear. There are so many times where I've watched videos about people partying and I'm like, ugh! There's just like
you're the reason we don't have jobs right now.
thank you. Oh my God, I made a rant video about that. I was like, it's your foot. And I was like mad. I was like getting fired up. I was like watching it, editing, and I was like, I should take some of this out. And then I was like, nah, it's fine.
Yeah, it's hard to not make like rant videos, especially with us all being in the travel and tourism industry. And then you see these people are literally the reason why we're out of jobs. Like
Yes.
people are not working right now and they just don't take it seriously. But
Yeah, and it's just, and my sister, she went to working, back in serving and everything, and she was saying same thing. People will walk into the restaurant not wearing masks, refusing to wear a mask, and it's so rude to me. And like, I don't know, like, it's one thing to not care about your own safety, but somebody else's, it's just, I don't know, blatant disrespect.
yeah.
Unfortunately, that's kind of been the theme of like every podcast we've recorded lately, because that's the entire travel industry is just affected by it, and it just doesn't change. But
it's if you want a too long didn't read version of all of our podcasts, this is what's going on with the airlines. COVID is terrible. And anything on hotels, all right.
Yeah.
That's the thing. There's nothing on hotels because nobody's staying in hotels.
Exactly, except for, I feel like, so this is probably another interesting kind of, didn't happen to me because of course, I'm out of my job, but my sister's boyfriend, he was one of the few that was able to go back. He's a bartender, and he said that there were people just walking around in the lobby not wearing masks and everything, and he was like, so how are you able to like get past, and just like walking in front of the front desk, just blatantly not wearing a mask? And he's like, is anyone going to tell them that we're in a pandemic? Did we forget?
We're Americans, so we don't care anymore. We're bored with it.
Yeah, we're done. We're
done.
fine,
It's gone. It left because I'm done. I'm tired of it.
And nobody wants to be the person that confronts them, because who knows how they're going to react.
Oh, I do. I'm like, shoot me, please.
That doesn't surprise me.
You. That is.
I love that energy. I feel like I'm on the cusp of that. There are so many times where I've seen people who are just, roaming around my apartment building without a mask, and I just want to, or even, I'll go to my apartment gym, and people will specifically wait till later on to go to the gym, like me, because I just, want to be safe. But I swear there's always that one guy that just comes in after 10 and just is not wearing a mask and will not abide by the 6 foot away, rule. And there are so many times where I'm like, I just need to remind myself to be classy. And
Oh
that's
yeah,
just like,
that ship has sailed for
scream.
me. That's so
Oh
long
God.
ago. I was in like a Kroger. It was like I was just in the grocery store like 2 or 3 months ago, and there was a guy behind me that if you could imagine what white trash looks like, he was breathing it, eating it for dinner,
No
for
chill.
lunch. And I was checking out, and I just glanced behind me, and he's probably 6 feet away just from the carts, how long they are. But I'm talking to the cashier checking me out, and she goes, "Oh, you're really stocking up or something," because like I've always been doing like huge grocery orders, like, so I only have to go like once every couple months.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, I just, with all these idiots not wearing masks, and I like turned and like looked at him and just paused, and then he like looked directly at me. I'm like this guy. I really just don't want to get sick and just make the world a worse place just because I don't want to put a piece of cloth on my face. And
I
he's
love
just like,
that.
he just looked at me, and I'm like, it's okay. I probably talked too fast. He didn't get any of that. And like I said that to the cashier, and then he just didn't say anything. I'm like, see, I'm very outspoken when it comes to
Dude.
just random people in public. People don't really like to hang out when we're going places, just because of that. It's not like, and it's not like I'm rude to servers or like I don't tip. It's just like I don't stand for ignorance or
Yes, being
people being like
blatantly.
that. Yeah.
Exactly. That's I feel like I've gotten petty a couple times, but then I saw I saw a compilation of people freaking out on people for calling them out for not wearing masks and like breathing in their face, and I was like,
Mhm.
oh, and like
I
my
would've popped 'em.
sister my sister actually watched it, and she like messaged me, and she was like, please just be careful. You have an autoimmune. Like you can't be playing around with it. And I was
Yeah,
like,
I do too. I
I
welcome it. Risk taker. It's been a
I
long
love
year.
that. Oh my
It's been a long year. They're taking me or I'm taking them.
Oh my God. I feel like this level is just gonna bring back all the petty, it's just gonna come back.
Perfect.
People are gonna be like, Jess, you gotta calm down.
Just something happened in the past week. What?
Andrew.
I met this guy on a podcast, and he got me fired up to just murder someone.
Yeah, I mean, I was already like there, and then he like just just shot me right over the edge.
Oops. Well,
No, it's fine.
We'll do a reaction video to your breakdown, your mental breakdown that is definitely
Oh my
coming.
God, which one?
Yeah.
It's gonna be at whatever happens after this.
Oh my God, I was gonna say, I mean, my entire YouTube and TikToks, I feel like, are just me having a breakdown. People will comment and be like, are you okay? I'm like, no, it's 2020.
Yeah.
What kind of question is that? You want some too?
The sad thing is that's what makes it entertaining, but at the same time relatable, which is depressing. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't even want to get into my TikTok algorithm. They've got me pegged down to way too well. It's like for your page, they don't even have hashtags on them. They just know I'd like it. I'm like,
yes,
yeah,
I feel
right.
like that's 100%. It's just people. There was one that I swear that I still just quote so much, and it's just this girl. She's talking about how she's like, we've been in quarantine for a while, and I feel like I've gotten dumber since it started. And I was like, yeah, I feel that. And then she's going on, and she's like, talking about how depressing 2020 has been. But then she also goes, and it's kind of weird because I feel like my standards have lowered so much. And she was talking about eating, I think, like some shellfish ramen or crab flavored ramen. She goes, it tasted really good. And I'm thinking that's the joke. And she goes, then I remembered I'm allergic to shellfish, so I almost killed myself. And I was like, I've done that so much during quarantine. I'll forget I'm allergic to something and be like, oh my God.
I thought that the joke was going to be that she lowered her standards in men, and I was like, maybe the quarantine needs to go on a little longer. Like, let's ride it out. Give the rest of us a shot, you know?
Oh my God, no, 100%. I feel like that's been 100% the theme. Like I'll scroll through people on Facebook stuff that they post, and I'm like, God, like it's just asking for the bare minimum, they're like, I just want someone to actually talk to me more than once a day. I'm like, oh my God, what are we?
Yeah, that on some of the dating apps now I'm seeing a lot of them that are saying it's like, what do you look for in a man? And it just says like honest. And I'm like, who hurt you?
I know, right? That I've seen that, and I've actually shared a couple of things like that too. And then I realized, I was like, one of my friends DM'd me, and she was like, Jess, she was like, are you okay? And I was like, no. I was like, look at the things I've reposted. Is that from someone who seems like they're okay?
Oh Lord.
I think what we've gotten from this is that nobody that works in travel or tourism is okay right now.
Yeah.
No.
Or ever,
Oh
really.
my God. Well,
I would say I was okay before.
I wouldn't.
I mean, I was still
wouldn't
really
either.
aggressive towards strangers for no reason, or for very little reason. But I would say I was better. I enjoyed when I was working.
I've known you for 5 years now, and I don't know that I would ever say you were okay.
All right, that's okay is very relative.
Yeah.
Oh my God, the direction this podcast took.
We're gonna have to
But, like,
rename it.
Yeah.
It's just being exposed,
Yeah, we can't have guests anymore. We got to go back to that.
This is
We gotta go back
significantly
to-
more entertaining than just talking about restrictions on airlines, though.
Yeah,
Hey,
yeah, it
I
sure
mean,
is.
100%. But I mean, kind of going back on that though, talking about people in the travel industry ever being okay. That's like a theme. All of us at Hyatt, we would just like walk past each other and be like, hey, how's your day going? And like nobody would lie about it in the back of the house. They'd just be like, I want to kill myself today. I'm thinking about going up and jumping out of a window out of rooms or something, and it's just like, oh my God.
I'm really excited to clean the 5th floor today, if you know what I mean.
And then,
Oh my God.
this is why hotel windows don't open in most hotels anymore.
If you run fast enough, all windows open.
Oh my God.
Oh boy. Well, bringing it back to, I don't know.
Actually, I think we can stay on the not being okay in the travel
I think
industry
we can
because
too.
where Justin and I had worked at together, I think anybody who had been working at that place for longer than 5 years all looked like they wanted to off themselves. And this is like people that are like our parents' ages. And I'm like, boomers don't talk like that. Everything's great to them. And you only have to work harder.
That's true.
You only have to work harder to get it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then you have, boomers are like, you just have to work harder and everything will be okay. And like,
Yeah, these were not those boomers. They were like, no matter how hard you work here, you're never getting anywhere. So just remember that. And I'm like, all right, this is my first week.
Ironically, we caught on to the reason that they thought that way is they weren't as good at their jobs as we were.
Yeah. There was like, I think Belinda, who was older, but she was super like screw the system. She was really good. She was probably the best one that worked there, and I could understand her frustration. Every other person that I can remember that was like older that complained, they were there for a reason. It was like, you're not very good. Like we would get calls on Teams, and one of the older women would be like, Andrew, we got another one that wants to only talk to you. And I'm like, weird. You sound so pleasant on the phone. I can't imagine why.
Why do I imagine you just like slowly like coming up to them whenever they're complaining about, man, you just could never like get anywhere in this business. You just like slowly coming up being like, because you suck.
So I wanted to so bad. That was I'm very professional in the workplace, though. That's my downfall or strength, I guess.
Management
like,
liked him, so
yeah, that's and That's why I knew that it was going to go bad when management was telling me like, well, we just can't afford to lose you in your position right now. I'm like, oh, you're one of those companies. Okay, never mind. I'm going to leave because there was
Yeah.
like it was when I had been talking about training for a higher position, and that's what they told me. So
Of course.
When we talk about the story, if we ever do, Andrew, of why you left and the reason they thought, we have to have Jess here for that too, because I think
Oh
her
my God,
reaction is going to
yes.
be great for it.
Oh
Not
my
that
God,
it's a happy story, but
oh my God, I feel like I'm probably still gonna, no matter what, just like the way you talk, Andrew, probably still gonna laugh at it. So I mean, I'm just out there, not saying to be a jerk or anything, but like that.
no, that's fine. I'm just hilarious.
Yeah, pretty
Just
much.
the Robin Williams effect. That ended well for him, I think.
why'd you sigh
Um,
like that's the thing every woman says to you and it makes you depressed?
What? No, there's a lot of things
I
that
was
women that
thinking
all
the same
there's a lot of
thing.
things that all women say to me that make me depressed. That's just one.
Can we get like a list of those? Can we?
Maybe on a future one for sure. It would be a lengthy. I could put it into a song.
Oh
I've been
my
composing
God.
music lately. It'd be like the
Oh
Animaniacs around the world, but it's just lists of really sad things I've been told.
People listening to this are gonna be like, "Oh my God, is Andrew?" Like comments are gonna be like,
Is he okay? No,
No.
we're
Are you
not.
good?
Stop asking us.
Yes, stop it. Clearly
All right,
now.
which story did you want me? What were you talking about, Justin? I had
What?
a
Oh,
child come into the room.
I know, I saw her. I said if we ever tell the story of why you left that job that we worked at together and what kind of
Oh.
happened, Jess has to be here for it because her reaction to it is going to be great.
Yeah, maybe.
It's a messed up story. I know you've got to tiptoe around it a little, but
Yeah, it
Oh
was
my
just it was honestly like they thought that I was mad at them when so I had a opportunity come up when I moved. I was going to be working remotely. So they had sent me a whole bunch of stuff to get started, and within a day of me moving back to Michigan from St. Louis, I got a job offer where I was getting paid like triple of what I was making at the travel agency, and I'm like, yeah, I can't turn this down. I'm sorry. So
yeah.
this was probably I was on vacation as well. So I was supposed to be starting up in I think like 2 weeks back with the travel agency, and they wanted me to start immediately. And I'm like, well, I'm going to give my notice. You guys have to respect that. And so they did. So I reached out to my boss and the tech team and said, hey, before you set up my internet and everything, I just want to let you know that I've got to give my 2 week notice. I got a job offer I can't refuse. And I wanted to let you know before you spend all the money and have Charter come out here and like install like my internet and all that. And instead of them being like, thank you, they basically told me to go F myself.
No.
And said that I had all this planned from the beginning and that I was never going to be working for them. And I was like, that logically doesn't make sense, because if that were the case, I wouldn't have brought all your guys' like trash into my house, like because I had both monitors, I had the PC set up and everything, and I'm like, I wouldn't have done any of that if I knew this was going to happen. It was like just a spur of the moment thing and I told them, I'm like, unless you can somehow match like double what I was making, I have to leave. And then so they kind of like almost everybody at that company just all of a sudden shunned me. Like I went from like the golden boy to like, don't talk to him or you're
You
fired.
shall not be named.
Yeah, literally. I literally went from that. I was like, I was the Harry Potter, but turned into Voldemort like immediately. It was like an overnight thing. And so we fast forward 2 years. They tried to hire me back as a VIP agent, that company that had done this. And so I turned it down because they still were offering like not even competitive in travel agency world.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, no, I'm like, thanks, but no. And then 2 weeks later, one of our other friends who worked there still on the VIP team, she was let go. So they tried to hire me back to fire me.
Oh my God.
And I'm
How
like,
thank God you didn't do it though.
yeah, I wouldn't go back to that company unless it was like higher than all of those people I worked with, because I would not trust anybody there.
And most of them aren't there
No.
anymore either, to be honest.
Yeah, a lot of them aren't there. three people that were on my old team worked with me where I am now. So yeah, that's everybody was kind of trying to leave, just mostly because of pay, and then also everything was very uncertain at that job. Travel agencies, normally you're pretty job secure, but that was like one of them apparently that was not. So yeah, it got out before Justin got out a little bit quicker than me, but he just didn't like coming to work.
Yeah, it's true.
Well,
and
I had to take all of his clients after he left because they're like, I want to talk to the man. And I'm like, I'm the only man here now.
Oh my God, they were all ladies left?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Jesus
So and almost all of the travel arrangers are women. So they're like, man. And I'm not even joking. That's how most of them were, because that was their interaction for the day. So most of them didn't want to talk to another woman for 4 hours of the day.
Yeah, and it was great in the sense of, we got to know people really well and we dealt with the same people, but that's the problem. It got to be too well and you got more expectations.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I know.
Oh my God.
Like that. Yeah, I was like, how'd you even find me? You don't know my last name.
That's what's creepy, which means Facebook was suggesting you because you were probably playing on Facebook on your phone while you were at work.
Yeah, or it was because I had my job
listed.
Yeah. But yeah, either way, that was not a good time. I was a lot happier with the company that I'm currently furloughed at. Everything's going great.
It's been a great time. God, how sad is that? I feel better at the job that I'm furloughed at than the one that
Hey, I hear that a lot from women too. I feel a lot better after hearing your terrible thing.
Oh, it's so sad.
One of my best friends actually says that. She messaged me every once in a while and says, I was having a really rough day, but then I remember that story you told me of what happened to you personally, and I just felt better about myself. I'm like, God, you're welcome.
I've gotten a couple of those this year too. People like message me and they low-key will just kind of like go in real nice, they'll be like, man, I just want to let you know you're such an inspiration, and I just really like that you're very open about your life. And then it just takes a total 180. It just goes down there, like the fact that you sleep on a couch and you're drunk for most of the time. It's just really makes me feel better about where I'm at. I'm like, I'm really glad for you.
Gives me real perspective on how I'm not that off. I'm not that bad off.
Yeah, I'm not.
Look at this lady.
I'm married. I have kids. Sometimes I get bored of it, and then I watch you videos, and I remember I'm okay, and then I'm like, thank you. I love that.
Oh, thanks for supporting. Make sure you smash that bell and.
That's actually how I respond sometimes too. I'm like, thank you for supporting the channel. Appreciate it. And they're like, yeah, I've been subscribed since blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, thank you.
You're one of the 4 views that have been coming in weekly, and I've been making your life just a little brighter. That's what I do it for.
I do it for you.
These ones for you.
Maybe one of these days I'll make a nickel.
Can't wait, just rolling in that YouTube dough.
Oh yeah, the thanks for sitting through my 24 minutes of ads for my 10-minute video so I can make 10 cents.
You remind me I need to place more ads.
I think that was a reminder that you don't need to place.
Well, we've made a nickel so far.
Perfect. I don't even want to hear that.
Oh my God.
So
I want another story. I want another story from.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay. So I wonder, are we thinking naked story or just creepy drunken story? Because I've got a lot of them.
I can relate to both probably. Because I think that was my hidden drunk agenda in Japan, was like, maybe so a little love you long time up here. I think that's what happens here.
We're canceled.
I don't know. I don't know what I was thinking.
Can I get your canceled merch? I need to wear it.
Yeah.
So you know what you pick? You pick on whichever one you want.
Oh God, I feel like, well, how about we go with a drunken story? So this wasn't so much room service. This was actually, I was still working for Hyatt. I was a server in like the 3-meal restaurant or whatever. And a lot of the times, depending upon business, you would have to work a lot of hours or not very many. This was one of the times where I had to work a lot of hours. And so I was doing cocktail serving and breakfast, like everything in this department, basically. And so there was one night where it was like my first shift doing cocktail serving by myself. And I was just kind of going around having a good time, getting to know people. And we had a group of guys come in, and they were already not drunk, but they were skirting the line a little bit, a little tipsy. And so they all sit down. I go over, I'm serving them. And so they just, they're like, it's this guy's bachelor party. And they're like pointing at this dude. And I'm like, oh, that's amazing, whatever. So they start ordering rounds of shots, and like the other server was kind of coming over and checking on them as well. And so she ended up, I think, over serving them. And so I went over at one point and I was like, okay, like as someone who has had a lot of experience of getting too drunk, I was like, hey, I recognize that you probably need food and water. Let's, try to get you a little sobered up. And so I go over and they're like, yeah, let's get food. What do you guys have? So I give them the menus, kind of, distribute them or whatever. And most of them are fine. The guy getting married, not so much. So he like comes up. All of a sudden, I just like feel somebody put their arms on my shoulders and then put a menu in front of my face. And this guy is just like whispering in my ear. He's like, what would you suggest? Just like being way too flirty. And I didn't realize this was the guy getting married at first. Like I had my back to him. And so then one of his friends, I don't even remember the dude's name, like I'm just going to call him George or whatever. One of his friends are like, George, like, get off of her. You're getting married tomorrow, dude. And he's just like basically like trying to like kiss my neck and stuff. And I'm just like horrified, like still awkward. I haven't really like been hit on that much at this point, and so I'm like, I don't know what to do. So I just like stand there like this. I'm like, I'd get the wings if I were you. They're really good. And so
oh no,
I shimmy down and I like get out of his weird embrace. I'm like, I'll go get that for you. And then I just like disappear in the back. The other server comes in. She's like, are you okay? Like, what's going on? And I was like, I need you to take over. I'm like sweating, all my makeup is coming off basically. And so it gets better. You would think that's where the story would end.
I was thinking that he was going to dance with you when you were shimmying away, because that would have been my first. I'm like, oh, she wants to dance.
No, I skirted out. One of his buddies had like grabbed him, So the next morning, I, had to come back and greet or whatever. And so I'm like at the greeter stand. I see the group of guys come down after. Mind you, I forgot to include that this dude that's getting married is like begging me to like come to his room or whatever. And I'm just like, oh my God. And I like kept using the excuse. I was like, I can't do that. I'll get fired. Like, I don't know why that was my first thing instead of being like, you get married. Like, no. But I was like, I can't, I'll get fired. And then like stayed away. Well, then the next morning, they all roll in and the guy makes eye contact with me, turns around, and he's like, let's go somewhere else for breakfast.
Oh my gosh.
Horrified. And I was just like, you've got to be kidding me. Like same dudes, like you could tell he was so embarrassed. And I'm sure a big part of it, was just like too much alcohol, got a little too crazy. And I was just like, thank God they left though. I was like, I can't go through another,
oh my
another
gosh,
moment. Yeah.
I'm just picturing like, what was going through his head that morning when he's oh boy,
straight up, like right when he saw who was standing at the greeter stand, like I looked at him and I just like froze, and he like just was like, it just turned. He was like, oh.
Yeah, I will say that you're like my favorite kind of server though when I'm drunk, is the person who's like, you need some food and some water. I'm like, you're an angel sent from God himself. Please take a seat.
Oh my God. Anytime anybody I'm like with, whether I'm serving them or hanging out with them, I'm like, let's just get you some drinks or some water and some food. I'm like, let's just take care of you. No more drinks. There have been so many times where I have, like, I was actually bartending at a hotel in Arizona, and we had like oh God, I can't even, it was like a little gazebo area, and it just overlooked the pool and everything. And there was like a swim up bar. And so people would come up, get drinks, and a lot of them wouldn't realize that in summer in Arizona it gets very hot and you get dehydrated very quickly. So you would have people who are like, yeah, I can slam like 12 beers and be fine, like 3 in, they're just like, the eyes are glazed over.
This is death, huh?
Is this what death feels like?
I feel death coming for me.
Oh my God. Every time they'd be like, can I get another vodka soda or some stupid stuff? And I'd be like, sure. And I would just like put just the soda water and be like, there you go. I mean, I wouldn't charge them. They're going to be too drunk to realize, or they're going to be like, that was a good deal,
Yeah.
But I was like, I'm not going to have you argue with me, and I'm not going to have you die in the pool. I really don't want to look out and have someone be drowning.
Yeah, I will say the swim up bars are very dangerous. I have a story when I was in Panama, but that's for another time. I have to leave it on a cliffhanger. All I'll say is that getting an overnight in Panama can be very dangerous on every account. I
can only imagine.
You're gonna leave me hanging too. I want to know where that's going.
I feel like poor Justin right now is like, oh my God, I feel like we were gonna do this podcast to talk about hospitality, and it's just gone way off the rails. But I love it.
Yeah, no,
yeah.
I love it.
It's great.
So Justin knows around the time frame that this all happened. It was my honeymoon.
Okay.
And we had an overnight in Panama before we went to Peru to stay in the rainforest. So that whole trip was one bad decision after another, starting with the wedding.
You make a lot.
Starting with the wedding. Oh my God.
You make a lot of bad decisions when it comes to where you travel. Just so everybody knows, he's a great travel agent. But as far as like when he chooses to go where, like, you don't take a 1 year. I can't even finish the sentence.
No, I need to know this. I need to know.
To Iceland, she was the youngest person to ever trek the Langolier mountain trail. I'm just saying.
Trek is a very loose term when you had to be saved by a bus.
I mean, technically, I saved their lives too. Not the bus, but my wife at the time and our child, because she was carrying it, and they started to fall off the cliffside.
I'm the reason you found somewhere to stay.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that was every trip I've taken that's I think on my Tinder or something. It says, if you want to go on vacation with me, be prepared to die. I don't know why no one matches me. It's the weirdest thing. They might just think I'm a murderer.
It would be even better if you would just add in there like a little knife emoji or like an axe or something.
No, we're struggling enough. We don't need more to cripple us.
I don't know. I mean, I've thought about adding those into my just put them in there, little like knife emoji and like winky face. I think that really sells what I'm looking for.
Wow. Yeah, between
everyone watching this is like, don't ever try to date either of these two.
Yeah, that's okay. We don't need to worry about that. That's already not a thing. I mean, for 50% of that statement.
Anyway, that's crazy. All right. Well, I don't even know where to go from there. I did realize that we kept mentioning your video earlier about, you walking in on someone naked, and we
Oh, yeah.
never really addressed what happened in that video. So we've gone through a ton of stories already. So I am going to say, if you guys want to check that out, definitely go to Jess's channel and watch it, because it's a great
It's a
story
good one.
time. Yeah.
It's a banger for sure.
Oh,
It's
it oh God, there's just
cap.
so much. The worst is I won't even like go into detail, but the worst part was me having to go and get ice for that woman. Words cannot describe how mad I was.
Do you understand that I could relate to that woman on a level, and it's not a good thing. She was just lonely, and she just didn't want to let you go. And
Really not. But I was like, there are better ways to do it, that man. You
Yeah,
could have tipped me more than $2.
Exactly. You would have had a hundo in there with the number and one of the keys to come back. You got
That's actually
keys.
That's actually how one of the employees got fired from the hotel.
Wait, what? Okay,
Ooh.
next story.
So, I don't want to be the reason anyone gets fired, but
you got to leave a key for a different hotel.
Yeah, exactly. It can't be the hotel that the person works at.
no, I meant for them to come back in the room later that night. Like I
Yeah.
give them my key to come back.
Yeah, you got to have a different hotel, man.
Yeah.
There's guidelines for hotel employees.
Or your car
Okay.
keys, just be like, hey,
Right.
meet me in the parking.
But don't be surprised when your car's gone. But...
Yeah. You know what? I don't trust people that much, and I'm also not that desperate to be like, here's my rental. Hopefully, you don't just steal it in a foreign country, because I can't talk to anyone here.
Oh my God.
Looking up at street signs, like those are letters, I think.
Whoa.
I have no idea what that means, but that's fine. I'll just kind of walk in circles and pray for the
Right.
best, Hope someone just picks me up and is like, you look lost. I'll take you to the airport.
Well, wow. I think on that note, that's probably about all the time we're going to have today. This has gone pretty long, but great stories, but there's definitely more to talk about. So, Jess, you have an open invitation anytime you want to come back and talk.
Awesome.
This has been great.
Yeah, for sure. I loved it.
All right. So, guys, I want to thank you for tuning in. Give us a minute. We're going to take a little break, and we'll be right back with a little bit to finish up for the week.
Thanks for coming.
All right, everybody, welcome back. First, once again, thank you very much from Jess from the Hot Mess Express with Jess YouTube channel for being on with us and talking. Went a little off track there, but I think it was a good thing, because that's definitely one of the most entertaining podcast things we've done so far.
Yeah.
Hopefully we can have her back on for more stories, though, because it sounds like she had a lot more to go.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't know what it is. It's something about her just makes me want to tell my deepest, darkest secrets.
That's hilarious. So I will be sure to put a link in both the audio and video versions of the podcast for her channel down below. Make sure you go visit it, watch her videos, subscribe to her channel, and give her a like. But that's about it for that. So let's go ahead and jump back in. I think we have a few more stories about the travel industry for the week. So Andrew, what else do you got?
Yeah, so just a couple things. I'm going to start off with the kind of bad news bears that, since we haven't really had anything bad this episode, so we're just going to go to just kind of raw stats here that tourism is fallen more than 70% this year, which puts us back to 1990 levels.
Wow.
So this 1 year we've fallen so far that it's taken us back 30 years and this is due to international arrivals in the first 10 months of 2020. So this is not taking into account the holiday season, because they don't want to do that, obviously, from year to year.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so we're looking at Asia and the Pacific. It was down 82%, which was the highest, which makes sense from just pandemic levels, which brought the average for the world at 72% down.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's what I had on that.
So related to that, something that's going to help our travelers a lot right now, actually, and it's kind of big news. There is a website called Skyscanner, and they have actually added an interactive COVID-19 map to tell you where there's travel restrictions across the globe. To get to it, you just go to skyscanner.com/travel-restrictions. I will leave this as a link below as well. And it just tells you where you can go and where you can't. Right now, it looks like there's 13 low restrictions, which is basically means you can travel there and won't need to quarantine or anything. 108 moderate. Most of those include having to take a COVID test or a quarantine. 104 major restrictions, which travel is either suspended or the country is closed to entry unless you're a citizen or meet strict requirements. And then there are 9 countries with restrictions unknown. Ironically, the US is one of those marked as restrictions unknown, but the reason for that is because they are varying by state and city.
Yep.
So they don't have that detailed information yet. But if you're looking to travel right now, again, whether we recommend it or not, but you want to do it, that's a great resource for you to know if you're going to be able to. I will say, basically, Asia is pretty much all major restrictions.
Yeah.
Africa pretty much is mostly moderate restrictions, and then as far as low restrictions right now,
I would guess South America.
you're actually it's one specific part of South America, and Brazil is pretty much wide open.
The like northeast
Uh,
or northwest of
yeah,
South America.
yeah. I mean, all of Brazil, but then like Venezuela actually has some of the strictest restrictions.
Oh,
Ecuador, Peru, Bolivia, and Paraguay are all in the moderate category, and then the southern part of South America, like Argentina, strict restrictions there as well. So, honestly, overall, Mexico and Central America are actually less restrictive than the majority of South America, except for Brazil being the exception, and Brazil does take up a large portion of South America.
yeah.
But
Adding on to the restrictions, actually, I just remembered that I got an email. It was probably last week or the week before. Those of you that don't know, I had stayed in the Amazon rainforest for my honeymoon. It was called, I believe it was the Treetop Bungalows. But it's a hike to get there. It takes about 3 hours off your plane between cabs and then boat. You have to boat for an hour. They just sent an email saying that they are back open with new guidelines in place. It just basically, it's hard to explain what this place is because if you've been there, it's hard to see how they would open because it is out in the middle of the Amazon rainforest, and there's so many things that different factors you eat, basically what is there, what they catch for the day.
wow.
Plantains, tons of plantains. So if somebody out there gets sick, it's probably a death sentence. So I would definitely make sure that if you are traveling to these low restriction places, just because it's low restriction, still take care of yourself before you infect a populace, because they don't have the resources that we do in the States here. So just keep that in mind.
Right on. Yeah. That's crazy. So that is a great resource. Andrew, do you have anything else for the week?
Yeah, I had let's see. Portugal was named Europe's best tourism brand and the 3rd best in the world at the Country Brand Awards.
Oh, wow.
So the other 2 countries, we have UAE and Australia. Those were the top 3 national brands in the world in the category of tourism promotion. And this is basically, they used this year to rank how they also added in how they've dealt with tourism promotion during a pandemic. So
Wow.
during a crisis. So Portugal, Australia, and UAE. So those 3 countries have kind of risen to the COVID challenge of branding during a global pandemic.
Cool. UAE is definitely somewhere I want to go. Hopefully one day I can fly business class on Emirates. As travel agents, you get pretty good fares.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the last thing that I had was just Wyndham they just completed a rollout of mobile check-in and out at nearly 6,000 hotels.
Nice.
So this was more at their economy and mid-scale hotels. And so anybody that's familiar with Wyndham, they've had a mobile app for check-in for quite a while. They've just been kind of improving on it, and this year they've completed at nearly 6,000 more properties. So very low risk, I guess I should. You're not having very low contact is what I'm looking for.
Yeah, that's
checking in and out with basically not seeing anyone.
That's a great resource, and Hilton and Marriott both have that on their apps as well for most of their properties. And basically what happens is your phone becomes your key, using the same technology that you're using for NFC like Google or Apple Pay in order to be able to unlock your doors, so you never have to have any interaction with the hotel staff if you don't want to.
Yep.
Well, last thing I have for the week, and this seems like the perfect thing to end it on because it's kind of on a funnier note, but Thailand has actually partnered with Tinder for matchmaking trips.
This is why we've went away from me doing a Thailand special instead of doing somewhere else.
Yeah, so the Tourism Authority of Thailand has officially teamed up with Tinder to offer a series of 4 different packages specifically for matchmaking purposes.
It's for international hookups. They're not
basically.
matchmaking. It's prostitution. You're signing up for a prostitution package.
I almost feel like I have to say the things Andrew says aren't necessarily my opinion again.
No,
just because I'm afraid of getting sued now.
No, there's no way that this is not just straight up prostitution. It doesn't make any sense of why you would partner with Tinder to find the love of your life while you're in Thailand.
Yeah, just to go in a little more detail, the first trip, they're planning 9 different itineraries throughout the country and launching with 3 pilot trips. The first one actually takes place December 20th and is a cruise along Bangkok's, I might mess up the name of this, but Chao Phraya River for 100 singletons. And the day-long experience includes sightseeing, dinner, and a talk from a feng shui expert.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's that. I think that's a good place to end it for the week, though, because it's crazy. There's another related story that's locked on the link to this about Eva Air launching a speed dating flight to nowhere. This is actually
Wait, that's a genius. That's genius.
This is actually back from November. I mean, this isn't something that we normally come across reading it, but yeah,
so they've been speed dating at a bar. You go and get on a plane.
Basically, yeah.
That's genius.
That's crazy. Anyway,
you can't escape me at that point. You can't just leave the bar. You're 10,000 feet up.
So I think what we've really learned on this episode is that we're all really messed up. Andrew can be really creepy when he's drunk.
I don't know. Anyway,
yeah.
Thanks for watching. Make sure that you follow us on all of our platforms if you'd like to stay up to date. We are trying to push out new content pretty much daily at this point. We'll have more guests on the show, obviously. Had a lot of fun today. So if you have any questions or concerns, comments, I don't care about your concerns. Just give me comments and any suggestions that you have for future upcoming podcasts or content that you'd like to see. But until next time, thank you so much for sticking with Justin and I and our special guest. And we will see you next time on Unknown Destination.
See you guys later.